My name is Antonio, and I just wanted to welcome you guys back to another video on, a project that we're doing and a little explanation behind the project and showing you the project itself. So, I want to give you a basic background information about this project, and it was a very complex problem, a very complex project, if you will. Logically, it was also complex because you had to fetch from multiple APIs in some cases and combine them together to then deploy it, it was very interesting, but no matter the challenge, no matter how hard it is, with the right amount of time, we get everything done. So, I want to start with a brief explanation of the code as I mentioned. So, let's get right into it. So the first thing that we want to do is actually define the endpoint of your modal hosted image generation API. So this is a modal API that we're going to use to actually generate the images. So within the modal itself, we have 30 free tries, and I've used all my 30 free tries to test and see if it works or not. But it is still a very, a required step for you to do, which is defining the endpoint itself. So obviously, this is not the actual website link itself. It's in my .env, and that was just a comment explaining that this is in my .env, and I just don't want to leak my API because I've used my 30 free tries and I don't feel like paying. So the next thing that we do is receive the user's input, and as you can see right here, it parses the JSON body, and this is the user input itself, right? And this code receives a JSON request with the text prompt, like the description of an image and whatnot. So the next step is what I lacked in the previous project, and you can see my previous video if you would like, but it's validation of the input. And this is if no text provided, it returns an error. If a text that doesn't work is provided, it just returns an error as well. And this is an essential part. This is an essential part, which I did not do last project, but this project was my main focus, and this project we got it down. So moving on, we call the modal API itself, and it sends the text prompt to a specific endpoint, which is my modal here, right? But it would be the website in itself. And this is in the modal API. And then it asks to generate an image from there. And then the next step would be to handle the API response. And then when we handle the API response, if the image is successfully generated, it extracts the image from the URL of the response. And then our final last step is to return the image to the client. So it returns the image URL, and then the generated image from the modal is sent back to the client. And if any steps fail, the return is a relevant error message that we can see here. So this was the API part of it, but then we also have a .python that I included to make this project a little bit better, in my opinion. So this code itself, it sets up the modal app so that it uses a stable diffusion model, if you will, to generate images based on the text prompt themselves. So let's start with the breakdown itself. So this creates a modal app. As we can see, it's set up the modal app. The code creates a modal app itself, and I called it a stable diffusion API. And it specifies the required Python versions and libraries, such as I use Torch, Diffuser, and Accelerate, and all of that, just to run the image generation. So we move on to step 2, which is defining the function to generate the images. So basically, a function called generate image is defined here, and we can see generate image is defined, and this takes the prompt as an input from the user. Then it loads the pre-trained stable diffusion model, which, oh boy, right here, comp vig stable, this took me a while, I can't lie. And then it moves it to the GPU, which is called CUDA, for a fast interference, because when we're dealing with user experience, the faster it is, the better. And as Faison said, which he is a great person at Has Started AI, He said that if the user experience is slow, then no user is going to want to use it. I forget if Faison said that actually, or if it was Hassan, or if it was Yassine, but one of those three guys said it, and that is the truest thing ever. If Instagram was slow, nobody would use it. If Twitter was slow, nobody would use it. If Facebook was slow, nobody would use it because users just don't have patience. So our third step is to generate the image. So we have the generate image function, and it's stable. It uses the stable diffusion pipeline to generate the image itself based on the provided text, the prompt, if you will. And then it saves and uploads the image, saves the image locally. And this is stored in a temporary file, which I made, but I'm not going to show. But it stores it in a temporary file, and then the image is then uploaded to the Modal's cloud storage and the URL of the uploaded image itself. So this code essentially, it just allows you to generate and store an image using the stable diffusion model through the Modal's cloud infrastructure. So if we were to run, oh my days, this project, we can see that this is what we get here. We can see that there is an image generated text here, and I could simply say bunny or something playing basketball. And then if I were to input that, it would give me a bunny playing basketball. It would take me around 2 seconds to give me a bunny playing basketball. Now I'm not going to, because I've already used my 30 free trials, but the code can be found in my GitHub, and you can explore this for yourself. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys learned something.